St. Louis Effort for AIDS has worked to educate communities about HIV/AIDS and offer comprehensive support services to those affected by the disease. Here with us is Dale Wrigley, who's the Director of Engagement and Advocacy, and Jenna Chierek, Director of Community Relations for St. Louis Effort for AIDS. Welcome, Dale and Jenna.
Thanks for having us.
So 30 years now, since 1985. In 1985, AIDS was something that we were just really beginning to talk about as a country, as a nation. And we don't hear about it quite as much anymore. So, Dale, tell us a little bit about the history of the disease, the history of St. Louis Effort for AIDS.
So a lot of organizations back in the 80s, early 80s, when the disease was just being identified even, part of what was happening is a lot of the identification was on the East and West Coast, and people were moving back into the Midwest, back home, because they were actually so ill they were dying. And part of the reason AIDS service organizations were developed was actually to take care of people, to support people, really for the end of life. And that has completely changed. You know, there are a lot of medication. Medication has evolved. When the disease started, there wasn't medication. When medication came around, people were taking 30, 40 pills a day. Now people can take 1 pill a day and maintain their health. So a drastic change, but we still have new infections every year. 200 to 300 new infections in the St. Louis area alone. Statewide, we have just over 11,000 people living with HIV and AIDS today. And again, it's not over. There's no cure. People still have to take medication for the rest of their life, but a lot of change and a lot less of people dying, but actually people living with HIV.
So when St. Louis Effort for AIDS started, it sounds like it was more about caring for the ill person and not so much as community outreach in terms of efforts to communicate how to avoid the disease. Am I correct? Or
Correct.
was it kind of Jenna?
No, there was, it was really a lot of friends of friends rallying around them to take care of them. There wasn't hospice centered around this of any kind, so that's who it was. It was their friends who saw their other friends passing away, who learned of their infection maybe on Monday, and by Friday they were passing away, and Saturday, you know, they were preparing for funeral services.
And there was a huge fear and stigma in society.
And unfortunately that stigma still is around today. A lot of what we do is to try and alleviate that stigma, but there's still a lot of cultural stigma, and just even within the community, the medical community, about not just making it a standard of care that you go and get your HIV test at your wellness checkup every time. That doesn't currently happen, but we'd like to see it there.
And the 30 pills a day to 1 pill a day, how much of that is result of organizations like yours going out and fundraising and helping the medical community come up with better solutions?
So the part of what the federal government does is there is the Ryan White Care Act, which was developed and named after a young boy in Indiana who actually contracted HIV from a blood transfusion. He died, but the CARE Act serves several parts. And one of those is to help with medication, with education, both for medical providers as well as agencies like our own. We have full case management at our agency because of the Ryan White program. People are able to get health insurance and get medication because of that. There are clinical trials because of that funding. So again, it's expanded over the years. And again, it's helped support. It now helps support prevention efforts as well too.
And Jenna, in our community, in St. Louis, how is St. Louis Effort for AIDS as an organization changed to address the needs of our community? Has staffing-wise, for example, have you stayed virtually the same, or are there things that you're doing the same or differently than 30 years ago?
Oh, it's much different. We originally had a small group of volunteers who started the organization, and that was in the basement of bars, and they would do their fundraising through different drag shows and things like that. And now we've really scaled up, and we have over 38 employees. The bulk of that is case management services, like Dale was talking about, through our Ryan White services, and then our prevention team, who provides education, outreach, testing, and treatment for both HIV and STIs. And then we also have our access team, who helps folks enroll in the healthcare marketplace. And then we also have our PAUSE program as well.
Okay. So, and this year is a big year, the 30th anniversary of the St. Louis Effort for AIDS.
Correct.
and culminating on December 1st, World AIDS Day.
Yes.
So are there big plans?
There are big plans. World AIDS Day, again, is December 1st every year. The agency actually was created or started in December. So we're combining those events, and hopefully there will be both testing for the whole community. There will be a day of education and information, but then there will culminate into kind of a fun event, kind of a variety kind of a show, and we're still planning that right now. So.
Sounds great. All right, we're going to come back in a few minutes because you guys have a lot of events prior to December 1st that we're going to talk about. So we'll be right back with more from St. Louis Effort for AIDS after this break.